Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wolverine Studios Developer Dynasty stream here on Twitch. Tonight we're talking Draft Day Sports College Football 2021. Very, very exciting night because, as we announced on Twitter and Facebook a little while ago, tomorrow will be the start of first access for Draft Day Sports College Football 2021. So we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about some new features, some new things that have made their way into the game here in the final days before first access. And we will be joined by Brooks shortly, and we'll be talking up the game, get everybody ready and hyped for first access tomorrow. As always, thank you to our huge follower list that keeps growing every stream. I'm so impressed, especially DS369. I see you in the chat there as our brand new follower. So thank you for that. Thank you also to our subscribers who are supporting the channel and the content that we're putting out 3 nights a week right now. So the first thing we want to get to, and hey GM Games Chris too, glad to see you in the chat. First thing I want to get to is something that I spent numerous days working on this week, at the request of some of our internal testers. As soon as this loads up here, hopefully. I might have done something here to dismantle this league that I was working on.
Hey Gary, can you hear me?
Oh, hey, Brooks. Brooks is here with us. Welcome, Brooks, and thank you. Talon, wow, subscribes at tier 1. Thank you so much, Talon, for that. I really appreciate that. So Brooks has joined us, everybody. Brooks, you can say hello to the excited people out there for first access.
Hey guys, happy Friday.
It will be a very happy Friday because they will be able to get their hands on the game tomorrow if they pre-order. We've got a couple of things that we want to talk about here on the stream. The first is, and these are all really enhancements to the game now that we're looking at doing. The first is bowl logos, which was asked for in one of our chats. I know that these will be modded by our fantastic community in no time, but I did spend 3 days working on bowl logos here to add a little something to the game, and Brooks did a great job of incorporating them. But as with just about everything else in the game, you will be able to mod them to your heart's content and create your own bowls, or use real logos if you want, whatever you want to do. How's the feedback been on the bowl logo idea so far, Brooks?
We have a handful of beta people looking at things, and they like it. I've seen some of the advanced mods that are going to be coming out, and it's just fun. It just makes it a little bit more immersive, makes it a little nicer to look at, and it's fun to see like real life elements, mixing in with some of the sea of stats and whatnot in here. So we spent a lot of time on this most recent update over the last week on adding more logos to places, trying to get conference logos in places, just trying to up the overall look and feel of some of these screens and the team lists and things like that. So the bowl logos just really add to it. We'll get to quarterfinal, semifinal, championship game logos as well, so that we can add those in when you're viewing those games. And over time, I'm sure we'll come up with all sorts of other places to show off the logos and the game results. So I'm pretty excited about it so far.
Yeah, me too. Talon's got a question. Will they be able to link to Pro Football 21 right away with the beta or the first access version tomorrow, or they need to wait on that?
So the link should work. Basically, the way it works is whenever you save your game in college, it generates a link file, and as long as you've put that link file into PF21, those options should show up. It loads them. Basically, every time you open up PF21, it'll load that file. So it should work tomorrow for first access. We haven't fully decided what all we're going to incorporate between the two games, other than kind of what we showed in the PF21 Dev Dynasties. So that'll be something in first access that as people come up with new ideas and suggestions on how they want to see that data and what data they want to see, we'll be able to add that in. And since we'll be able to bounce back over to PF21 for patches, we can kind of sync the two up pretty easily going forward.
So since we've been talking about first access so far, I'm going to drop a link here in the chat box for anybody who doesn't know what first access is or is watching this later on and wants to know what we're talking about with first access. First access is the way that we kind of take the final home stretch of the game. So what we do is we offer the game, we offer a discount, and if you're a returning purchaser, if you bought College Football 2020 from Wolverine Studios, you have to bought it from our website. You should receive an email tomorrow with a special code that will give you a larger discount than the general discount, because we like to reward the people who continue to buy the games from us. So you get a discount. You'll get a complimentary key for the game on Steam when it's launched there, if you want one. And you also get immediate access to play the beta builds. And again, I stress this in the article that I linked to there. These are beta builds, so there are things that you might find bugs. As Brooks talked about, we'll still be taking feedback on things. And how like the linked league things will work. What data do you want to show? Other suggestions that you hit along as you go along and play. That is the whole purpose of the first access process. It's we are not a large studio. We do not have hundreds of paid employees testing the games and stuff like that. We can't do it like that. So we offer you a discount if you want to get in and you want to help us test the game. You can get your hands on it early. You can start playing, and you're doing us a service by looking for the last remaining issues that that didn't come up in our small internal testing groups or just in the development process.
Yeah, first access is always a hectic day because that's when we realize how much stuff we just can't cover as developers. I mean, there's so many different different setups for PCs and different play styles and different ways of looking at the game and stuff, that it's hectic, but it's exciting at the same time, because then we actually get to focus on what the players are seeing, what you users and buyers and fans of the game are most interested in, and how you're receiving the game, how you're receiving all the different screens and whatnot. So it'll be fun, and I think this is a good version, and I think we'll have a lot of good feedback on it, and I hope everybody enjoys it.
Oh yeah, I think that the response we got to Pro Football 21 was, amazing. We had a huge number of new people come into the game there, and everybody who was even familiar with the 2020 or earlier versions. Everything felt so new with this new user interface. The College Football 2021 is the last of our big four products to get this new interface, so it'll be very exciting for all of our college fans to see it for the first time, and they'll have that opportunity tomorrow. So just a reminder, the first access purchase link will go live probably around noon Eastern time tomorrow. There's no point in being in there like 9 a.m. mashing refresh. It's not going to be there that early. And then, DS just asked, is there a rough time? So about noon Eastern tomorrow. I mean, it could be a few minutes before that, but like I said, don't be hitting the refresh button at 8 in the morning or something, because it won't be there. We won't have the site updated and everything. We had to wait for some things with the store today, and that all got finalized. So we'll finalize everything tonight and in the morning, and tomorrow afternoon you'll be playing college football. All right, Brooks. So one thing that I want to uh, talk about here that was just added, and I want you to kind of talk about it, because this is going to be, our mod community is huge, and I love our mod community. It does such a great job for our games. There is a new option when creating the league, and I want you to walk people through this custom coaches file. What can they do with this?
Yeah, so cancel out of there and do a sandbox just for now. Just 'cause that's the only one I've tested this with. But basically, when you create a new league, you'll be able to pick a coaches file, just like you pick a player import file. So what this will do is when the league spins up, it will assign coaches based on what's in this ESV file. Um, the the main reason we did it is because we want people to be able to set up their real world mods both in college and pro game. And this is something I really do want to try and port over to the pro game. But the goal is that people can spin up their leagues with their favorite teams, their favorite structures, their favorite logos, their favorite field treatments, and all of the coaches. So you'd be able to put your favorite coaches in, and then you'd be able to set up, all of their initial ratings and stats and tendencies and salaries and all that stuff. So it's been an ask for a while, and it just finally I was able to spend a little bit of time looking at it this week. It's not done. There's still some. It doesn't work exactly like importing and exporting of players. So this is pretty much when you create the league, you'll be able to do it. It's not set up where you can replace coaches that are already in flight, but that's certainly something that we can look at during first access. It won't be there tomorrow, but it is on the plate to look at. But we're hoping that by adding this in, it's one of the final pieces to allowing people to really set up the full circle of all of their teams, logos, players, coaches, fields, images, player pictures, all of that stuff. So I'm glad to at least have a first pass of it into college. And like I said, we'll also look at moving it into pro as soon as it's reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something that once our excellent modders get their hands on, I know that the mod community for college basketball at one point had a mod that had all of the college coaches in there. So I mean, and people loved that. So I know that our community is going to do amazing things with all of the mods, as they always do, and this gives them one more really fun and amazing tool to use. So I'm really happy to see this, and again, it's another example of what people ask for. If we can't do it right away, and it's a really good idea, we kind of hold on to it, and we keep it in our back pocket, and wait for an opportunity where we do have a chance to get these things in the game. So if you're out there and you're watching the stream or whatever, and you have ideas, and you bring them to us, know that we're listening, and we're taking the ideas, and we don't just dismiss anything and say no, we can't do that, or whatever, or we don't care about doing that. We listen, we take the ideas, and the really good ones, the best ones, we implement. And it really shows you that this game is about building this community, growing this community, being part of this community, and the mod community is so much, so responsible for a lot of fun that people have. So when we get really good ideas for mods, we try to do our best to incorporate them. So is there anything else, Brooks, that you want to talk about that you've kind of been working on as we prepare for first access here? Oh, did I lose Brooks? That's okay. I can keep talking in the
I'm
meantime.
still getting used to my new
Ah,
headset. My mute button's moved. Everything's changed.
ah,
Can't deal.
upgrades.
Um, yeah, most of the things have been, trying to squash any of those, issues related to moving to the new UI. So we're hoping that this first access will go um, a little bit better than the pro football one did. Hopefully, since we got several months more experience with the platform, people can dive right in and enjoy the game and start. If there are issues, hopefully they're minor, and hopefully people are more focused on improvements and giving us feedback on things that may have been asked before that we've since missed, or maybe new things come to mind now that we see different screens and things like that. So I'm hoping that it's relatively stable, that it works really well for people out of the box, and that they can enjoy it from day one. And like I said, just focus on having fun with it, and bring your good feedback back to us, and we'll go from there. The importing coaches was one of the last major things on my list, but the list isn't done. There's still lots of things that I do want to still try and tackle during first access. So we'll we'll add things to the list and prioritize as we go, and hopefully everybody enjoys it.
Seasoned vet, good to see you in our chat. He says, are there any dual players that we can recruit, like a cornerback with wide receiver skills, or quarterbacks with wide receiver skills, etc.?
The the skills kind of get generated for recruits a little differently. It is certainly possible to get some spread of skills across certain positions, but not really skills across the side of the ball. So, like a cornerback to wide receiver, that's doubtful that you'll see one generated that way. And quarterbacks with wide receiver skills, same way. They won't get generated in the game with that. It is something that folks have asked for, having recruits be considered athletes as opposed to having a true position. Um, and I mean, to be honest, that would be an easy way of simulating that kind of action, where you have a quarterback maybe with a multiple skill set, high 90s in quarterback, high 80s in running back or whatever, and then let folks pick how they want to handle recruiting that player, and how they want to morph him once he joins the squad. And um, by giving players much more skills across different aspects of their skill set, they would in essence be an athlete, right? They'll still be quarterbacks or whatever listed on the as you recruit them, but if people spend the time and scout them and look at them closely, you may be able to find some of those kids that have multiple skill sets. That would be an interesting way of doing it. Just to reiterate, it's not there now, but that may be something we can look at for first access. It's on my list, um, but I hadn't really thought of a good way of handling that, and maybe the skill set is the way I can do it to get it in for BF21.
Frankie asks, will the player cards be the same as for pro and college basketball? The player cards are the same as in pro football. We have the same look and feel to, sort of in between games. I know the here's the player card for one of the players here in college football. The look in the basketball games is very different. It got changed during the development of pro basketball, and it's being ported over to college basketball. I know everybody really likes that look, but for the sake of continuity in football, we kept the player card looking the same there. And then next year in the 22 version, we will kind of round up everything again, kind of the best out of all of the games, whatever's working. Basketball looks, or whatever improvements get made even beyond that. Um, but just from my standpoint, from the UI development standpoint, it's easier to have the things working the same way in both football games and the basketball games. And Brooks does a couple other different things here, like the rollovers. I'll show you guys a couple of those that's been part of the football games that I really like, and maybe will work into the basketball games in the future. But I think that's just, it's good that we both kind of working on the same overall layout that I've provided, and that the look and feel of the games are pretty similar, and finding things is similar, but there are some differences in some things that we'll kind of see what works the best and keep moving forward with that.
Yeah, it's one of the most exciting things about this new platform is that it allows us to blend the two genres of games together pretty rapidly. If we see a feature in a basketball game that we want in the football, and vice versa, if it's graphical in nature, or usability, UI controls or whatever, those things should be really easy to bring over. Some of them make more sense than others. There's obviously the amount of data and the amount of players and all of those things change the way these screens are laid out a little bit between the games. But as we hit on screens that we really like, or designs that we really like, we'll definitely be moving them back and forth and trying to keep everything moving forward.
So PMC Count 513 asks for high school and hometown on the player cards. Is that still tracked after they've moved into the game? The original.
Yeah, if you go to view a recruit, it shows up on their player card. I don't think I have it on the player that have already been signed.
Right, it's not on the.
Something we could do.
Okay, as long as that data is there, there's room for it. We can throw it on the player card.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't sure how many rows, how many lines I wanted to put on there, so I just did it in the recruit one for sure. But we can look at adding more data to the headers of these, and if there's a basketball set that you like to use, certainly could look at merging the two together. But
yeah, it could work just like it does on the
relatively straightforward.
Yeah, just like on the recruit card, you just got that extra line up there with their high school and their hometown. So we could just add that.
It is pretty entertaining the way we generated all of those schools, and was all based on population of states and actual census data. And I mean, it's just amazing how many schools there are in the United States and whatnot. And some of the players that come out of some of these are very entertaining to me. And I kind of left it that way. I've actually seen players come up from my own high school. I've seen players come up from other high schools that you wouldn't normally think they should come up from, like women's schools for the blind and things like that. So it's just a byproduct of how we generated all of that data, and there's thousands of schools that these kids could possibly come from. So they're not always the most realistic, but I think it adds a little bit of fun to seeing where some of these kids come from. Currently, there is no way to edit the high schools. That actually wouldn't be terribly difficult to go ahead and add the edit when you're editing a player, so that they could set the high school. So I can add that to the list to look at. If we're going to be displaying it more prominently, we probably do want to make sure that people can edit that and change them if they want.
There you go, PMC Count. You got 2 suggestions in right here with player card showing the high school and hometown, and possibly editing the high school. So that's what the developer Dynasty streams are for. We love interacting with our our customers and people who are interested in our games, and we certainly welcome any and all constructive feedback and ideas, and do our best to implement them. So I know we're just about out of time for tonight, and I know everybody is really anxious for tomorrow. I know Brooks is going to keep working, and I've got a lot of things to do to prepare the site for First Access. But just as a reminder, First Access will begin tomorrow. you will be able to go to the web store at wolverinestudios.com exclusively. There is no first access or beta or anything like that on Steam. If you want the game on Steam, come pre-order it from us during the first access period, because you'll be eligible for a complimentary Steam key. So you'll get it on Steam in the end anyways, but if you order from us, that always that helps us out. And yes, GM Games, shout out to Asger, who he's always working behind the scenes. He takes chunks of the game and goes into amazing depth and detail, like the player traits and the personalities and all that kind of stuff that really gives a whole nother level of depth to the game. So Brooks and Asger have done a fantastic job. As always, the football roster here gets stronger every single year. This is by far the best version of college football that we've seen, and I know Brooks is excited. I'm really excited to see people finally get their hands on it. They've been patiently waiting for this transition to the new AU platform, and all that patience will pay off tomorrow. So remember, just about noon Eastern tomorrow, hit our web store, wolverinestudios.com. You can pre-order, you'll get that discount, and you'll be able to get the link right away emailed to you with your license key, so that you can download the latest betas and play all the way up to and beyond final release. Brooks, anything before we go?
No, I just got to get back to work, and like I said, enjoy the game, everybody. I look forward to a good first access and hearing all the feedback that you guys can generate.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining to us. Especially Talon. Thank you for that huge sub tonight in the chat. That's amazing. I love when something like that happens in the chat. Talon is one of our top community members. Does amazing designs for things. And just kind of a great representative of what our community is about, with how they support us, how they support the games, and how they share all the cool things they do with everybody else in the community. So thank you to our followers and our subs and everybody who joined us tonight, everybody who's been on the road here as we prepare for first access, and we will see everybody tomorrow about noon Eastern on our website, wolverinestudios.com, for the pre-order and the beginning of first access. So everybody have a great weekend, and we are very excited to see you tomorrow for first access. Take care, everybody.